this video we'll take a look at a notable American women's rights and temperance advocate. She's best known for her efforts to reform women's clothing, leading to the creation of bloomers, a type of clothing named after her that was more practical and less restrictive than the fashion of the day. She received a rudimentary education and at a young age became a schoolteacher. In 1840 she married attorney Dexter Bloomer, who encouraged her to write for his New York newspaper, the Seneca Falls County Courier. This marked the beginning of her career in journalism and public activism. In 1848 she attended the Women's Rights Convention at Seneca Falls, which served as a catalyst for her advocacy work in women's rights. In the following year, 1849, she started publishing The Lily, a periodical for women that started as a temperance journal but later expanded to cover broader women's rights issues, becoming a significant voice for women in the 19th century. Her tireless work in promoting women's rights and reforms continued throughout her life, even after she moved to Council Bluffs in Iowa in 1855. She continued to write and speak on women's issues and remained an active participant in women's rights and suffrage organisations until her death in 1894. So join me now as we look back on the flamboyant life of Amelia Bloomer. In the verdant town of Homer, New York, nestled in 1818, a girl named Amelia Jenks drew her first breath, the seed of an intriguing destiny. She was the youngest sprout in her family garden, abundant with 4 sisters and 2 brothers. Her roots delved into humble soil, her family of moderate wealth, though sparse and clean in the district school. Her education would nevertheless shape her into a woman of remarkable character. Amelia's life took its first significant turn at the tender age of 17 when she found herself as a schoolteacher. However, the quaint confines of Homer soon seemed too small for her burgeoning dreams. The vast opportunities beyond her hometown attracted her like a flame lures a moth. When she relocated to Waterloo and started living under the same roof with her sister Elvira, who had just gotten married, a fresh chapter in her life commenced. But it wasn't long before destiny called again, guiding her to Seneca Falls, where she found herself enveloped in the warm embrace of the Orrin Chamberlain household as a governess for their 3 youngest children. At 22, a significant milestone arrived in the form of a gentleman named Dexter Bloomer, a law student firmly believing in Amelia's potential, and he became her husband on the 15th of April, 1840. Dexter, the guiding hand behind her emergence as a writer for his newspaper, the Seneca Falls County Courier, stood by her activism and even relinquished his indulgence in alcohol as a nod to the temperance movement. From her humble beginnings in Cortland County, New York, Amelia's journey continued to weave through the intricate tapestry of life. The year 1852 saw her and her family traversing new landscapes, venturing into the bright horizon of Iowa. The prologue of Amelia's story, now brimming with potential and promise, sets the stage for a life far from ordinary. The year 1848 found Amelia, or as we'd come to know her, Bloomer, on the precipice of a monumental event, the Seneca Falls Convention, a grand symphony of voices clamouring for women's rights. A complex dance of conviction and purity kept her from signing the Declaration of Sentiments, but her heart was tied to the teachings of the Episcopal Church. Yet the convention sparked a light within her that would guide her towards a new beginning. Just a year later, she became the harbinger of a unique revolution. She stepped into the role of an editor for the first ever newspaper, The Lily, crafted by and dedicated to the aspirations of women. Between 1849 and 1853, this bi-weekly publication graced the world with its myriad of contents, from quaint recipes to impassioned moralist tracts. Under the guidance of the indomitable Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony, its gamut of expression came to define The Lily. Bloomer held steadfast in her belief that the written word was the mightiest weapon women could wield for reform, especially since women taking the stage as lecturers were considered a societal impropriety. Originally designed as a beacon of temperance for the women of the Seneca Fall Ladies Temperance Society, the lily soon bloomed in households far and wide, boasting a readership of over 4,000. The early days were not without trials, as the Society's enthusiasm dwindled and numerous challenges arose, but undeterred, Bloomer embraced these tribulations, assuming the mantle of editor and publisher with a fierce determination. Once a vessel steered by a committee of ladies, by 1850, Bloomer's name alone graced the masthead of the Lily. A pioneer in publication, the Lily would set the stage for future chronicles of women's suffrage. Her story was blooming, and the world began feeling its impact.
It was a needed instrument to spread the truth of a new gospel to women abroad, and I could not withhold my hand to stay the work I had begun. I saw not the end from the beginning and dreamed where my propositions to society would lead me.
Through her published work, Bloomer advocated for transforming women's clothing standards to allow more freedom during routine activities, and she went on to say,
"The costume of women should be suited to their wants and necessities. It should conduce at once to her health, comfort, and usefulness. While it should not also fail to conduce to her adornment, it should make that end of secondary importance."
The tale of Amelia Bloomer unfolded into the third act in 1851 when she encountered a unique form of sartorial liberation. Elizabeth Smith Miller, a staunch temperance activist from New England, unveiled a radical dress style. A curious ensemble of loose trousers singed at the ankles in an echo of Eastern fashion, coupled with a short dress or skirt and vest. Miller's cousin Stanton immediately liked this unconventional attire and even wore it during a visit to Bloomer. Bloomer adopted the style and advocated for it in her magazine, finding the clothing both practical and striking. The innovative trend did not remain within the pages of the Lily for long, making its way into the New York Tribune and onto the figures of more and more women. Thus the attire acquired the moniker of the Bloomer costume, or simply Bloomers. It however drew unwarranted mockery from the press and public confrontations on the streets. By 1859, Bloomer had traded the notorious trousers for more traditional long skirts, driven by multiple factors. After relocating to Iowa, her longing for social acceptance and camaraderie pushed her to conform to prevalent fashion trends. Furthermore, the invention of the crinoline, replacing the burdensome underskirts, made conventional attire more appealing. Bloomer acknowledged the existence of more pressing matters that needed her focus. This same transformative year of 1851 also marked the inception of a powerful alliance in women's rights history, the meeting between Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony, orchestrated by Bloomer herself. As 1854 approached, Bloomer and her husband shifted their lives to Council Bluffs in Iowa. This prompted the sale of the Lily to Mary Birdsall, a resident of Richmond in Indiana. Birdsall, alongside Dr. Mary F. Thomas, continued the publication until at least 1859. And despite moving away from her creation, Bloomer stayed within her passion for women's rights. Her pen remained her weapon, and she contributed to many periodicals. Her name might not have echoed as loudly as some other feminists of her time, still Amelia Bloomer carved her niche in the women's movement, especially concerning dress reform. Her relentless efforts for suffrage bore fruit in Nebraska and Iowa, leading to her role as president of the Iowa Women's Suffrage Association between 1871 and 1873. In the golden twilight of her life, Amelia Bloomer, the resolute pioneer for women's rights and revolutionary of dress reform, bid her final farewell to the world in 1894. She was 76, her years filled with unyielding passion and enthusiasm for equality and reform. A life lived bravely and influentially, challenging norms, sparking change, and leaving an indelible footprint on the sands of time. Her mortal remains now found to rest in the tranquil environs of Fairview Cemetery in Council Bluffs, Iowa. But the essence of Amelia Bloomer lived on, immortalized in the spirit of the women's rights movement. The modest gravestone in Iowa could not define her legacy, which, like a glistening constellation, illuminated the path for those who dared to dream of a world unshackled by the chains of inequality. Her tale transcended the confines of her lifetime, echoing in women's lives across decades, continents and cultures. It whispered in the rustle of a woman choosing to don trousers in defiance of societal norms, roared in the voices of suffragettes demanding their rightful place in governance, and found harmony in the chorus advocating for women's rights. Amelia Bloomer, the humble woman born into modest means, departed as a colossus of reform. As the curtain fell on her life story, the epilogue was yet being written in the hearts and deeds of the countless women she had touched, inspired and empowered. Her name, synonymous with a revolutionary piece of attire, the Bloomers, served as a timeless testament to a life dedicated to challenging the status quo and striving for a better tomorrow.